I have kept a journal of stories for almost as long as I can remember. What memory serves me first are the large sheets of grayish-white paper passed around to my classmates and I at our desks in the first grade. The pages were blank at the top half with lines at the bottom, so you could draw a picture above and tell a story below. Little man stick figures with the bright eyes and happy smiles, picking flowers for Janie in the fragrant summer breeze, or plowing a dusty dirt road with yellow metal trucks. Whatever was real could be made to make believe, and to make believe, well, that was a long, long time ago. Things are a little different all these decades later, as my stories have shifted from the lovable refrigerator show and tell to a hardcover volume of yarns that rarely see the light of day. So, here we sit, just you and me and my book of tales. Its covers and spine are bruised and broken, its pages fragile and yellowed with time. Between its bindings are terrific worlds of wonder into which you are heartily invited to survey. Pick a page, any page. Choose your own adventure and feel free to roam as long as you like. You may cross paths with Mr. Scratch. If you do, please tell him I said hello and that I hope to see him soon. Can you keep a secret? Good. My name is Marty. I am 11.5 years old. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone, but when I was a little kid, me and my friend, Mr. Scratch, made a time machine from some old stuff we found in my grandfather's wood shed. Grandpa's shed was a magical place. It had to be magical, or else Mr. Scratch said he wouldn't be able to stay there. I think he just liked to be around all the stuff my grandpa kept over there, the stuff that Grandma wouldn't let in the house. There were all sorts of cool things for me to play with, and as long as I never broke anything, Grandma and Grandpa would leave me alone out there all day long if I wanted. The shed was never locked, and it always smelled like peppermint grass as soon as you opened the door. Mr. Scratch told me there was no such thing as peppermint grass, and that it was really gasoline and oil instead. If it was morning, the sun would shine on the floor by the wood pile. You could see dust floating in the sunlight sometimes. When the sunlight covered the whole floor, that meant it was lunchtime. Mostly, I would get hungry way before the sun got all the way across the floor, so Grandma would give me Cheerios and high C for a snack. It was just like what the astronauts had. It tasted funny, but Mr. Scratch said it was nutritious or something like that. On one side of the shed, there was a long stack of wood. It was neat, stacked like a crisscross, back and forth and up and down and up. Taller than me. I wasn't allowed to play near the wood pile, though. Grandma said it could fall down and snakes would come out. And you know what? One day a snake did come out. It was shiny and black. It killed a mouse and ate it whole, head first. Boy, was I scared. Mr. Scratch told me not to worry because snakes were okay and good for the end Iron Man, whatever that means. I bet that mouse didn't think so. By the wood stack, there was all of Grandpa's cool stuff. He had tables made from wooden boards that still had the skin on them, like real trees. He had fishing poles and lanterns and bicycle wheels and boxes full of parts for anything you wanted to make. Clock parts and mirrors and balls of string. But that's not the best part. The best part is the magic. Magic books. There were thousands of them, maybe millions. They covered the whole other wall across from the wood pile on shelves all the way to the ceiling. There were so many. I don't know why, but Mr. Scratch was almost always like a dark shadow. But sometimes, when I would take a book from the shelf and open it up, the letters would turn into words, and I could see him smile and nod his head. He was my best friend. I think that I will look like him when I grow up. There was a record player in the shed that Grandpa said I could fix, but I didn't know how. It would work a little bit if you put on a record and made it go around with your finger, but it wasn't very good. One day, Mr. Scratch asked me if we could use that old record player to make a time machine. A time machine so that he could go back home. I never made a time machine before, and I was sad that Mr. Scratch had to leave. He told me that I was his very best student and that I could do anything I ever wanted. That made me feel happy, and I knew what to do next. I made Mr. Scratch a time machine, just the way he asked me to.